Aspirants, hello. Just checking in on how you have been holding up. The Sociology Optional preparation cycle can feel long, and the quiet pressure of an examination that will genuinely shape the direction of your professional life is not a small thing to carry. Today, on issue number 42 of the Sociology Desk, we are going to do exactly what a top ranker does that a middle ranker does not. We will take one live policy event and we will sync it precisely and cleanly to a named concept and a named thinker. This is the single move that separates a script that scores 14 out of 20 from one that scores 18 or 19. There is a second event in today's written brief, which we will hold back for the subscribers. Let us begin. The event. On the 1st of this month, the Punjab government disbursed the first tranche of the Mukh Mantri Mawan Dheeyan Satkar Yojana. Roughly 44.41 lakh women have been registered, and the scheme routes 1,000 rupees per month to a general category woman and 1,500 rupees to a scheduled caste woman. Total budget outlay is around 9,300 crore. On the syllabus map, this sits primarily in Paper 2, Politics and Society, under the subunit of political parties, pressure groups, and the social and political elite. Because the transfer is timed to the 2027 State Assembly poll. It also sits secondarily in Paper 2, Systems of Kinship in India, under Patriarchy, Entitlements, and Sexual Division of Labor. Note both units. An examiner rewards a candidate who names the correct subunit before the analysis begins. The core concept, and the one you must sync to this event, is the recognition-redistribution problematic. Now, in plain language, Nancy Fraser argues that justice has two irreducible dimensions. The first is redistribution, which is about resources, money, and material. The second is recognition, which is about status, cultural standing, and how a group is placed in the social hierarchy. A truly just policy has to move on both dimensions at the same time. And here is where you may be wondering how to turn this into a 20 marker. Look at Punjab's scheme carefully. It performs redistribution beautifully. Cash goes directly, through direct benefit transfer, into a woman's own Aadhaar-linked bank account. But it does not touch the deeper structure. It does not touch endogamous inheritance, which continues to root land to sons. It does not touch the 363 minutes of daily unpaid care work that the Time Use Survey reports women perform. It does not touch occupational segregation. That is Fraser's test. Redistribution has happened. Recognition has not. Now do not stop at Fraser. A top ranker script always has a second concept. Bring in Bina Agarwal's intra-household bargaining framework. Agarwal treats the household not as a single unit with a common welfare, but as a cooperative conflict, in which husband, wife, and elders bargain constantly over spending, over work, over reproduction. The key variable in that bargain is the woman's fallback position, which is the outcome she can secure if the cooperation breaks down. When a woman has an independent income, her fallback position rises, and the terms of the everyday negotiation shift. Cross-national evidence shows this correlates with reduced marital violence and higher spending on daughters' education. So when you write about the Punjab scheme, use Fraser to critique it, and use Agarwal to acknowledge the empirical gain. This is how you avoid sounding either naive or cynical. Your anchor thinker for this event is Nancy Fraser. Attribute her precisely the work to name is Fortunes of Feminism. The concept to name is parity of participation, sometimes also called the Recognition-Redistribution nexus. Here is a formulation you can legitimately reproduce in an answer, and it is short enough to memorize. As Nancy Fraser argued in Fortunes of Feminism, redistribution without recognition secures material relief while leaving the underlying status hierarchy intact. That single sentence, delivered inside your 20 marker, tells the examiner that you know the intellectual provenance. Never write Fraser without the concept attached. Never write the concept without the work attached. That is the discipline. Do not simply say, and I quote loosely from many average scripts, Nancy Fraser is a feminist scholar who talks about redistribution and recognition. That gets no marks. The precision does. Now put on the examiner's hat with me, because this is where marks are won and lost. Picture two answer scripts on this event. The first script scores 14 out of 20. It opens with a definition of a cash transfer scheme. It narrates the Punjab announcement in 3 sentences. It mentions Nancy Fraser somewhere in the middle without naming the concept. It ends with a generic line about women's empowerment. 14. Now the second script, which scores 18 or 19. It opens with a structural claim, not a description. Something like, unconditional cash transfers targeted at adult women alter the arithmetic of household bargaining without dismantling the patriarchal wage regime that produced women's dependence. That single opening line signals theoretical control. The second sentence names Fraser and the recognition-redistribution problematic. The event, the Rs 1,000 and Rs 1,500 figures, the 44.41 lakh registrations, arrive in only 2 sentences, as evidence, not as narration. Then Agarwal enters as the second theoretical move. Then Partha Chatterjee's political society enters as the third move, reading the scheme as populist welfarism inside the 2027 electoral calendar. A counterthinker, Naila Kabir, closes the tension. And the last sentence names the reconstitution of the citizen-woman-voter triad. That is the difference. The refrain to memorize is this: the current event is your evidence. The theory is your destination. The probable question. This is a 20 marker. Paper 2, Architecture C. Listen carefully. In the light of state cash transfers targeted exclusively at adult women, critically examine whether unconditional income addresses the structural roots of patriarchy in Indian society. Notice the verb, critically examine. That is not describe, that is not explain. It demands exposition and evaluation. That is exactly the Fraser test that we have just built. Sync the event to the concept, and this question writes itself. A quick revision recap in 4 points. 1. The anchor concept is Nancy Fraser's parity of participation drawn from Fortunes of Feminism, holding that justice requires both redistribution of resources and recognition of status. 2. Bina Agarwal's intra-household bargaining framework from A Field of One's Own tells you why independent income matters even when recognition remains incomplete. 3. Partha Chatterjee's political society, from the politics of the governed, reads Indian welfare of this type as populist governance rather than as constitutional rights architecture. 4. The numbers you must have on your tongue. 44.41 lakh registered. Rupees 1,000 for general category. Rupees 1,500 for scheduled caste category. 9,300 crore budget outlay. First disbursement on the 1st of this month. Use those numbers as evidence, never as the topic. That is what we have for issue 42. Aspirants, all the very best to you. The truth about this examination, and no one really says this out loud, is that consistency across 10 dull months is a harder thing than any single hour of brilliance. And the aspirants who sustain the daily rhythm are the aspirants who quietly move up the rank list while the rest lose steam. Sync the news to the concept every single day, and you will be one of them. If you would like the complete written brief with the model answer, the answer skeleton, the quotation arsenal, the flashcard, the examiner's note, and today's second event that we held back, drop your email in the comments or write to us at team@upscdesk.com, and the team will share the subscription details. See you tomorrow.